Essen show number 2, Georgios.
Yes, we did a number 2.
It's going to go on as well because we packed so much into our case of awesomeness, Georgios, that we just can't do it all.
Packed a lot of fudge and a lot of peanuts, and this is what came out.
Peanutty fudge.
Yes.
My favourite.
Really?
That's not a euphemism for poo-poo either.
No, but thanks for explaining any joke we might come up with. Anyway, yeah, we're doing a second run into what we did at Essen because there was so much awesomeness, as you said, so much goodness involved, and we didn't want to keep that from you, dear listeners.
So our first interview is with the nice people at Horrible Games who come out with some of the componentiest games currently on the market.
Really? Oh, well, what kind of games were they at Essen with? I don't think I made it.
Well, they had Potion Explosion, but this time their new game was Raise Your Goblets.
Oh, excellent.
Which is a social deduction game, and I'm growing to hate them, but this one is actually pretty good. And you get big plastic goblets with it, and it's very tactile and it's very interesting. And in the interview, I went on to ask them their ethos behind those things.
Oh, excellent.
So, day 2, Essen. I'm sat in the penthouse of the Horrible Games booth, and I'm with Federico Latini, is that right?
Yeah, right.
From Horrible Games. So, first of all, tell us about Raise Your Goblets.
Yeah, sure. We made Raise Your Goblet because we thought it was really an opportunity to bring a party game through our usual customers, which are family most of the time. And so we wanted a game about killing each other and hating, but in a lovely way. And Raise Your Goblet it's all about noble people that try to kill each other by poisoning their goblet, and then somebody will call for a cheer, and maybe you will die, maybe you will survive, but at the end of the game another curse will run, so everything is gonna be fine.
So Raise Your Goblets is beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes with 6 plastic goblets that are engraved, and all the components are really nice. Was that a challenge to achieve?
Actually, it was, because it's the first time that we play with the plastics, and so we didn't have the know-how about how to even negotiate with China and China molders and industry. So for us was really, really challenging, but at the end I think we had a pretty good product, didn't we?
Absolutely, it's fabulous. So the 2 Horrible games I've seen, A Potion Explosion and Raise Your Goblet, and they're both very striking in terms of components. Is that an important thing for Horrible Games?
Yeah, absolutely. We want our catalogue to be full of, can I say gimmick? Is it the wrong word?
Well, I mean, it's only a gimmick if it doesn't do anything. And both games...
So useful gimmicks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we want something to stand out from the crowd, because we think the industry is really expanding, and it's really easy to get in. So year after year we see we get a little bit of fatigue. So we want the people to say, "All right, I remember the Horrible game really, really easily, because it's the one with the goblets, it's the one with the dispenser and marbles." So this is I think it's something that gave us the opportunity to be very visible to distributors as well. Mm-hmm. And it's easy to pitch something when you have this kind of useful gimmicks, as we were saying.
So how has the partnership with Cool Mini or Not worked out?
Yeah,
they're partnering on Raise Your Goblets too, right?
Yeah, Cool Mini or Not is a really important distributor for us, but we think we are a little bit concerned about overlapping of our logo with the Cool Mini or Not, because Cool Mini or Not is really, really well known in the industry, and most of the time we listen to people, oh yeah, it's a Cool Mini or Not product, but they're just our American distributors. So we will try to make more brand awareness actions in order to just to to make sure that everybody knows that we are a company that produce and Call Me or Not, which gave us a lot of opportunities and a lot of help in the, especially for big print runs. So we thanks a lot, and we think we will be with them for a long time. But we want to Horrible Games to stand out from this kind of mix and match of companies.
So last year, you almost had the game I was most excited about here, and I've heard nothing about it this year. What's happening with Alone?
All right, we left it alone somewhere else.
Okay.
No, sorry. I know it's going to sound like a bit of a vaporware, a little bit, because we thinking about what we said in advance about plastics. We didn't have the know-how about how to make right and good miniatures. Miniature industry has grown a lot, especially in quality. So we couldn't afford to have miniature not top-notch.
Right.
So with Call Me or Not, and now Call Me or Not it has a big responsibility on this, we will publish it in the fourth quarter, maybe third of the next year. And we are pretty sure. We know we said this thing 1 year ago, but Call Me or Not in this case is a guaranteed company to. I mean, it's guaranteed that we will print it. Alone is gonna be a kind of outsider from our catalog because I mean it's just miniatures, and even the theme is very different from our usual themes. But we think that we have to differentiate a lot in order to survive.
Yeah.
So we cannot lose this opportunity to attack a big part of the cake.
Right.
Yeah.
So one last question. The board game industry is getting more and more professional with every passing year. Do you think this is a good thing or a bad thing in general?
Absolutely a good thing, especially because it means that there is a lot of space for other companies to grow and to do well. Of course, there's going to be some shock in the industry trying to just snatch an apple and take it without giving anything back. But I think, especially thinking about Asmodee, it's doing the job that nobody wants to do. So it's doing the job of enforcing the local-friendly game stores. So I think they're good. They're doing a really good job because you need really great forces to be able to let the muggles not to know our industry, our hobby. So I think Asmodee is a good thing right now. But I'm ready to change my opinion in the future.
Brilliant. Well, Federico, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time.
And luckily, there's going to be a review of Raise Your Goblets sometime down the line because we're very, very happy to have something to play again. So coming up next is basically a huge discussion, a controversy, disappointment, excitement was around for Brazil, the new game by, Nuno Bizarro Sentieiro.
He corrects my pronunciation, and if he's listening to this, I've not changed my pronunciation. I think it's the same as yours, and I think the listeners will too. Nuno.
Pretty much, yeah. So he's going to talk about Brazil, which didn't make it to the show. What did make it to the show were a few scanned copies of Railroad Revolution, which apparently sold out immediately. Because it is pretty good. And we're not saying that because we were part of the playtests and we know the people, but because... Why are we saying it's good, Ben?
Nuno Bizarro Sentieiro.
Day 2, Essen. I'm here with a man who has probably the best name in board gaming. Certainly the best middle name in board gaming. Nuno Bizarro Sentieiro, is that right?
almost right. It's Sentieiro, but it's okay. It's not.
What I said was exactly the same as what he just said, with a foreign accent.
No, that's bizarre.
And he is the designer of Madeira,
yes. I'm not picking with you, but yes.
This is welcome to the Pedants podcast. Also the designer of my favourite game of his, which is a masterpiece, Nippon.
Thank you very much.
And the designer of the upcoming Brazil, I believe.
Yes, that's true.
So, first of all, just give us a précis of your experience with Essen.
Essen, to me, it's really the place to be. I like being here not only because you sell games or you meet people, you have meetings, you present prototypes, but mainly because you feel at home.
Right.
The spirit of the community, it's amazing, the people you meet. Yeah, this is the place to be. It's Essen, it could be anywhere else in the world, but gamers are here and I love it.
Yeah. So, how did you get into designing? Because, I mean, Madeira was your first game.
Yes.
Right? And that's as heavy as shit. How does someone go from nothing to something like Madeira?
So, it's not easy, but I always love to play heavy board games. So, sometimes around a long time ago, I don't remember when, it's like we started the gaming group, and then we started the Spiel Portugal Game of the Year Award, and then we started a convention. So we started getting into board games not only as players, but as members of the community, okay, so the industry. So we thought maybe we can try to design something. And we started from that. Paulo Soldado, my partner in designing.
He's gorgeous, by the way.
Yeah, he is.
Very debonair.
My sister sees something in him. I don't know what it is, but...
he's gorgeous.
It is.
He's like the Portuguese James Bond, right?
No, the Portuguese Brad Pitt.
There we go.
And he's single.
Who? Brad Pitt?
Of course.
Paolo's not.
Hope not.
He's married to your sister.
Come on, don't remind me of that. Again? So, we tried, we had a theme. He had an idea about a game taking place in Madeira. Because Madeira has... The history of Madeira was a board game.
Right.
Okay? It has the different areas, the different kind of goods. Everything made sense. So, he talked with me and said, why don't you join me and... let's try and make something out of this. And we kept trying, made something in the rush for Essen, and we went to what's your game? The only publisher we appointed that year, the only one meeting, and we arrived there with an ugly board and some ideas, and the guys at What's Your Game, at that time Mariano, told us, oh, I love this is a great idea, let's work on this. Fast forward, 5 years later in development, Madeira.
So 5 years it took to go from... Really?
Yes.
Well, I mean, it shows. It's a brilliant game.
Thank you very much.
So let's talk about what everyone wants to know about. What the bloody hell's happening with Brazil? Where is it?
Brazil is... how can I say this? So, the concept of the game is different.
Right.
The mechanics have to be really hard tested because it's something you've never seen before.
Okay.
So...
can you be more explicit?
Yes. So you... the period in history is like the Brazilian gold rush. There was no one in the interior of Brazil, and they discovered their gold, and then everyone came... It's like the American gold rush, but in the Amazon forest. Okay. So, amazing background. The game itself has two factions, like Brazil, the country, and Portugal, the nation that commands Brazil. So there's not independence.
Okay.
So that relation between nation Brazil and Portugal is like the balancing of the power, the main power, and the independence of Brazil that came later. And that period in history was amazing. So we're trying to get players to feel both ways in the action. So going from Portugal to Brazil, inside the same game, you change your style of play.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, thank you. But it's really tricky to make because it has to be subtle yet dense. So it has to be a lot of playtesting, and this Essen, it was really not something we could do. We could do it, but it would be rushed.
So what do you think, heaviness-wise? Is it closer towards Madeira or more like Nippon?
It's more like Nippon, for sure.
Okay.
Even though it has some new twists, the complexity will be right around Nippon, for sure.
So, next year?
I hope so. I really hope so. I will test it a lot and develop on this idea, because I believe in the idea, but I don't know for sure that it will work. But I believe in it, so I'm passionate about the project, so I will for sure try and make it an Essen 70 release.
So one more question.
Yes.
We're asking everyone this. Board games are getting a lot more professionalized, you know, with Asmodee and all of that sort of stuff. What do you think about this? Do you think it's a good thing, a bad thing? Does it lie somewhere in the middle?
That's a good question. And that's the answer I should give to gain time to think on a politically correct... Okay, so... No, to your question. No, it's tough because obviously the companies will get bigger and they merge with smaller companies. That makes sense. That's logical of the market. But it's great to have different publishers, small publishers that try out different things. So in a way, I see that not it's something that is meant to happen, but not something that will ruin the industry. Because
do you see games like yours?
Yes.
Like heavy games that need more than one play to be good at. Do you think they're threatened by this sort of thing?
I don't think so, because there's the other way of seeing stuff. It's like the Kickstarter market, the small companies, the self-publishing. That's also something that could hurt major companies. Of course, major companies will always have the advantage of taking the big money and getting the bigger projects. But as a personal taste, not as a designer, as a buyer, as a geek, as a member of the community, I always buy the smaller games, the independent games, the games that are for first-time publishers.
When I come to Essen, they're the games I buy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do that mainly because they think outside of the box.
Right.
And they don't have someone that says, let's go this way because this way is selling.
Yeah.
Okay? So to me that's important because I like to play that, understand that, and maybe by learning with that, create something good out of it.
Well, brilliant. Thank you so much for giving up your time.
Thank you so much.
Only 2
pleasure.
months late.
It's my fault. There was problems with my Facebook. I apologize, and I will buy you 2 beers.
How do you feel about interruptions, Georgios?
I feel... Wait, sorry. No, it's passed. I feel quite... Wait, sorry.
How do you feel about tannoy interruptions, Georgios?
What, Hanoi interruptions?
How do you think I feel about absolutely fucking ludicrous editing jobs because of tannoy interruptions, Georgios?
I think you're very, very happy about this. We had to record this next interview with Japon Brand at the end of a day, I think about 7 o'clock when the halls close, when there's announcements every couple of minutes of reminding people to get the fuck out.
I was watching you do this interview, Georgios, and a man in his 50s with a quiff tried to throw me out.
Yes, but but I mean, by now you should be used to that kind of behavior, though.
That's true. People hate me.
One funny thing about this interview, I was very, very lucky enough to sit down with Seiji Kanai, who was sitting right next to me, and I gloriously failed to ask him more than one question, and even that one question wasn't all that interesting, which is basically probably my biggest disappointment of Essen this year, that I had this opportunity to talk to one of my favorite designers and didn't seize it. We are, I think, halfway through. We're joined by Simon Lundström, but he's basically the spokesperson or main translator for Japon Brand games. We talk a bit about the background of Japon Brand games, how they come together, what makes them special. And I'm really hoping that next year we'll find a bit more time, hopefully with Monsieur Kanai. I don't think that
Monsieur is the Japanese title. That's how they pronounce it.
It's quite true. I hope we find a bit more time to sit down with the designers because I am still in awe and in love with all these exciting, new, different and unique designs. And it's quite interesting to hear their thoughts on which games actually make it over to Europe and to the US.
Seijima Kanai.
I am sitting here in Hall 7. It's 7 o'clock, fittingly enough, at the Japon Brand booth. It is time to pack up, but luckily I was allowed a quick session with representative of Japon Brand, Tak,
yes,
and design wunderkind Seiji Kanai were both nice enough to sit down with me and talk about Japon Brand. So my first question to you, Tak, would be, this is a collection of different publishing houses, of different designers. How do you select which games you want to present to a European audience?
Very difficult question.
I love those.
Maybe in Japanese game scene is very different from Europe or USA, or because maybe I think selection system in Japan is survival for fittest.
Survival of the fittest.
Because we have the very big game event in Japan twice in a year in Tokyo. The game event's name is Game Market, and once in Kobe.
Okay.
Just in Japan, 3 times named Game Market. Okay.
Right.
Like Spring Game Market in Tokyo, maybe 600 booths.
Wow.
And 30 or 40,000 people come in a day.
In one day?
Yes.
You have 14,000 people and 600 booths for the spring game market in Tokyo. That is impressive.
And
yes,
maybe 300 game designers.
Oh, wow. That is impressive.
Joining.
And now joining us is
Simon.
Simon.
Yes.
Somebody who speaks even better English than me, which is not a feat, but well done.
Where are you from?
Germany.
Germany. Sorry. I don't speak German.
That's all right.
I do speak French.
Well, I heard
because she is Swede.
Ah, right. Well, there you go. Excellent.
Our speaker.
Well done. So if you feel at any point my questions are becoming too convoluted, just look at him and he'll look angrily at me. We were just talking about the selection process. Yes, sorry.
Okay. There's every game designer in Japan joining or have a booth at the game market.
Right.
Everybody looking each other or play each other and speak something each other.
Right.
And somebody have a proud of his game, or somebody disappointed his game, and like that. That I said the law of the survival of fittest.
Yeah. Okay, I see that.
And if someone wants to go to SHP, they call me or yes, I want to go.
Okay. Yeah.
To this, and we have a meeting every month.
Right.
Everybody come.
Okay.
We are welcome. But in the meeting, talking each other, and is it good or is it not? And the final decision is always game designer.
Okay. So it's basically whoever is strong enough to show up to get a meeting with you and is still convinced that his game or their game is worth showing here will get your support.
Well, or you could say like this, that whoever is crazy enough to do this immense weird venture is where they go. What the point is that we are not sorting.
Right. Okay.
We don't really like. Okay, no, this game isn't good enough. You can't go to Essen.
Right.
We leave that to the game designer. If the game designer wants to come, the game designer wants to come, and we don't push anyone. We can sometimes we have a good game, and we can say to them, hey, you want to come to Essen? And they're like, no. We're like, okay. So, but obviously there is a sort of natural selection.
Yes.
Right. Because if the game isn't selling at all on game market, everybody sort of realizes by themselves that I can't go to Essen to sell this. But not. What you see here is not la crème de la crème. It's not the very, very, very best sellers of the game market, because some of the very, very best sellers, they don't come because they're not interested. But obviously, what you see here is mostly the best.
Right.
But it's not that we have selected anything. It's a natural sort of selection, and the one who wants to come, who wants to spread their games, they are coming.
Right. Now, because since we have a designer here, I need to sort of also address a question here. So, it's like moving on from this idea of that you need to be convinced that your game is good enough. How do you, or put differently, do you feel that the games of Japanese game designers are unique, fundamentally unique from the games you would find here? And how are they unique?
Because it's simple. There are too much designers.
All right.
Yes, he said that in Japan there are 300 or more designers.
Okay.
So every time, probably 5 or 10 is very, very, very unique.
Right.
Always.
Okay. And so the most unique ideas are the ones that actually probably want to come here, because this year, as just my personal predilections about this year, I find there were a few games that were really unusual. One of them was Who Sold the Toilet?
Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah.
But I thought other ones like the post I'm looking at right now, Come to Fishing Village, is. I was just reading the description. I was amazed by this game, this idea of rejuvenating a village. Is this something that? I mean, it's so different because I feel like in Germany or in Europe, you have a lot of farming games, a lot of train games, but you have certain areas that are very common because people know they sell well. Is this a consideration when people pick unique themes in Japan? Is it like, this is a very strange theme, we will get more people to buy it, or this is a familiar theme, this is what's going to sell? In what way do you feel that Japanese designers are maybe more brave?
Yes, it is also simple. Japanese people are very accustomed to manga, animations, movies, and books.
Okay.
So everyone reads manga, and a lot of they learn a lot of stories, situations, or something.
Okay.
So some designers want to trace a very good scene of that manga or games, and choose a theme from them, and make a beautiful game. Trace them.
All right. Following up, have you found? I'm assuming you're dealing a lot with European publishers and American publishers. Do you find that theme is a selling point, or is it just the fact that it's a Japanese game that makes the games more attractive to European publishers? Where do you feel? What's the selling point in these Japanese games to publishers here? What's your experience?
Uniqueness.
It is uniqueness. It is really the thematic uniqueness of games that makes it attractive.
Yeah, some games unique system, some games unique characters.
Okay.
Or some games unique component.
All right. So can you give me like an example of a game where the components seemed attractive to publishers?
Just 16 cards.
Oh yes, obviously. It's a small game. Nobody has probably heard of this. It's a very unique game. Nobody knows it. How do you call it? Love Letteru. Yeah. It's a great game.
I would like to add one thing.
Yes.
And that is that the Japanese designers who are coming to game market,
right,
they have printed their games that they wanted to do in 100 copies. And whether it sells or whether it doesn't, they don't care. Okay. Because they're just making something because it's fun. These are not professional designers, these are not businessmen. These are guys who love board games and have played way too many board games and who they don't think, what could I do that would sell? Right. They would think, what would I do that is absolutely crazy and weird?
Wow.
And that is one of the reasons why these designs are unique, because you can't make a living on selling 100 copies of a game here and there. This is just a hobby. Whereas if you take Vlada Kvartil, I mean, he is a pro. He doesn't just release just anything that comes to his mind.
Right.
And that means that he is very skilled, which means that he knows what to take and what to take away. These guys don't. And that is the power. It means that 9 games out of 10 will be absolutely crap, and it means that 1 game out of 10 will be so weird that nobody would ever dare making such a game. That is the power.
No, I agree. I could agree completely, but this is really why I keep coming back every year to this booth. Last 6 years, from the first time I come here because this is really exciting. Every time it's refreshing, it's interesting, it's unique, and one final question. I mean, you've obviously been here a few years.
10.
Well, that's a few more than I have then. Do you feel that I have, again, to bring up the basic business side, do you feel that the gamer side, Essen as a convention for people passionate about games, talking about games, designers exchanging ideas, and on the other hand, the business side, finding distributors, finding publishers, making deals for the future, do you feel that the balance has shifted in the years? Has it become more about one thing than about the other?
I think that this is a bit weird question because they go hand in hand. But if you compare like 8, I came into Japon Brand, I don't remember, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, or something like that. At the time, we had a little tiny booth, and we sold a lot of games, about as many today. And TAC was running around trying to sell these games. Obviously, he wasn't that successful because nobody knew what it was. But he did. But that was kind of the main thing. Right. We didn't have 200 persons lining up, coming here first thing in the morning on Saturdays that I want to buy the games. So my personal impression is that we haven't gone from licensing to selling to customers, because we are licensing way more now. But the impression you get when you see in the booth has gone from we are here to license games to we are actually here to sell the games to customers. Although it's not really true, because what we actually are doing, the real power behind Japon Brand is that TAC is selling the licenses.
And you, of course.
Yeah, and me. but that is where the real money comes from. I mean, most guys don't come here selling. I mean, the biggest selling game here in this booth, what can it sell? Maybe 100, maybe 200 copies. That is not what makes... I mean, it doesn't even pay the journey here. It doesn't even pay the hotel. So what we are actually doing, the hidden power of what we're doing, is that we're selling these licenses. We are presenting the games. But we have a much bigger queue of customers than we had to start with. And I feel that is the most interesting part that has changed, because I think that livens up for the designers to see, even if they only sell 100 copies, to see 100 enthusiasts sitting there with eyes shining, it's like, I just want to buy your game, is very nourishing for a creative artist.
Wow, that is impressive. I mean, I've had a few interviews the last few days, and I think, I mean, to be honest, a lot of, especially the new designers, are all very passionate about what they do, but they're all very clear about that it's also business. But I feel this is one of the strongest cases I've heard of just being passionate about games. And the business, as you said, goes hand in hand. Sort of, it's the structure underneath, but what keeps it going is the passion about games, the passion of gamers. And I thank you all very, very much for sitting down with me, for sitting down with us, answering my silly questions. And I'm very much looking forward to next year and the fantastic and I'm sure unique and brilliant games we're going to see next year in Essen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Dankeschön.
And finally, we return to one of the probably most interesting interviews, I feel, Mike Fitzgerald of Wyvern, Diamonds, obviously, and...
Baseball Highlights. 2045.
49, I thought?
9s.
Pretty much. This baseball game, which I still haven't played, and everybody keeps telling me it's great.
Yeah.
And ultimately, one half of the Ludology podcast.
I like it. I listened to it. And Mike Fitzgerald was very nice. He spoke to me and we spoke.
Pretty much. And we have photographic evidence on our Instagram page that this really happened and I'm not impersonating Mike Fitzgerald. Perish the thought.
Fitzgerald. So, day 1. Essen 2016. And we have the incredible honour to have grabbed 5 minutes with legendary card game designer and soon to be board game designer, I believe.
Oh, coming that way, yeah. My first game that's not a card game comes out next Gen Con.
Dragon Island, right?
That's right. Very good. You've done your homework.
I certainly have. So, Mike Fitzgerald, firstly, just give us a brief précis of your experience with Essen, how many times you've been, what you think of the show.
I usually come every other year because it's a long trip from the States, and I always come if I have a game debuting, because I can get the company to pay for some of my trip, maybe. I've probably been to 10 over time. I used to not come every other year, so I started this in the early 90s, but I wasn't coming here so much. I was doing trading card games in the States. But yeah, this is the mecca for game conventions. This is it.
Is it me, or does there seem to be more American companies here than usual? Has this been a trend you've seen over the years?
Yes. I mean, I know when I do games for even small publishers, a lot of them will say, well, do you think we should go to Essen? Or over the years, I've gotten that question a lot. And I just say yes. And some of them figure it out, I guess, and some don't. But yeah, there's more here because the market has grown. The games can be more successful. And this is, as I said, the mecca. I mean, everything's here. And so many people from around the world come here. I mean, Gen Con's exciting, too. That's the biggest one we have in the States, but there's something special about Essen.
Is there anything you're particularly interested in this year?
Oh, my own game taste? Oh, I do a list every year, yeah. I've already run around this morning. I got probably the 10 things I wanted to make sure I got. Then I ran out of money because nobody's taking credit cards anymor.
It's crazy in Europe. No one takes credit cards.
So I've got to find a place tonight and get like a whole nother round of euros and come back tomorrow and keep going. But yeah, I'm very excited. I love. There's so many games I love, but I've gotten a chance to get Power Grid, the card game, which I had a chance to play at the Gathering of Friends.
How is it? Is it deep and heavy or is it super light?
It's not super light. What I like to describe it is it's my favorite part of Power Grid without the part I hate. But you'd have to know me, I guess, to know what that means. But I don't like the calculation of from the first turn to the figuring out how much money I need left to do the building. Now, a lot of people, like I just spoke to Z Garcia about it a little while ago, he loves the map of Power Grid. So that's gone. So for him, it doesn't replace Power Grid. For me, it replaces Power Grid because it's the fun of the auction, the getting the resources, the play in the market, and then I'm done. Because your power is what you power. You don't have to go building a network. So for me personally, it's great. I think it's a shorter game, so for people who want to experience the different games, so I love it. Fabled Fruit I got. I'm a big fan of Friedman. Great Western Trail I got because I love Alexander Pfister. He's great. I mean, I love Port Royal. I got the new expansion for that. I got Pantheon for Seven Wonders Duel, that expansion. I got Innis. Innis is probably the number one game that was on my list. So I was at Matago before 10 o'clock because we get to come in a little earlier, and I was able to get that. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff I'm excited about here.
So what have you got this year at the show?
Well, Baseball Highlights, which is right here at the Eagle Griffin booth, and all the mystery rummies that they carry. At Stronghold, I have Diamonds, which is still going well, and there's a new expansion to that game, which did not make it here. It's a little piece, but you can get the rules on the Geek and people can play it. But so sometimes they'll miss, sometimes you miss games, but they have plenty of copies of regular Diamonds, and people can look at the rules and use anything they want if they want to play the new way. So I've got quite a few, and the big reason for me to come this year was showing a game that I've worked on for about a year and a half. So people have seen it over time, some of them. Now I'm at the point where it's done, so I'm saying, okay, now do you want to do it or not?
This is the Legacy one or no?
It's the Legacy one, yeah. It's a Legacy.
And is it coming out?
Well, yes, it will come out, I believe, by the end of 2017. But you never know for sure, right? So, but it's hard, how does a company decide on a legacy game? I mean, most meetings are 15 to 30 minutes. They take the game and what they might say right there, oh, this is cool, let's sign it now, and blah, blah, blah. Well, people wanted to do that with this game back when because the concept is great, right? It's a card game with legacy, and it's not too long to play. You have a game after, you keep playing, so all sounds good. So yeah, we'll take it, but yeah, don't know the game yet. And I'm not done yet. So you have, so I'm not giving it to anybody who doesn't play the whole thing through. And I say, listen, play the whole thing through, because if they're not excited about it, I don't want to, be giving it to them. So there are a couple companies that are taking it all the way through, and then I'll hear from them.
Well, I'm a complete Legacy devotee regardless. So if it's a Legacy game, I'm going to buy it. So we're asking a lot of people here, because we've noticed that Essen has changed, even in the short time that we've been coming. Gaming seems to be getting more and more professionalized over the years, with consolidation from Asmodee and so forth. I'm just wondering whether you think it's a good thing, a bad thing, somewhere in the middle?
Well, the reason it's happening is because more people are playing games and games are selling more. So as a game designer, that's pretty exciting for me. The challenge is there's so many more games. So maybe it's just the plethora of games that I look at as, it's not much of a negative, but it's a little bit as a designer, because how do you get your game through, right? How do you get it noticed? Well, it's a challenge. You have to make it better. You make it better in a unique way, and I think that's a good result for everybody as we keep designing and trying to make better and better games, because then everybody benefits. So I can't see too much of a negative. If Asmodee or some of these major companies were taking the soul out of game design being important, then I would have a problem with that. But they don't. They keep their, especially with Asmodee, they keep their design studios intact. And so Space Cowboys gets to, with a small group they have there, gets to design and develop and make great games, and so do all the other little divisions. There isn't really an Asmodee person you go to and try to sell a game to. They get it. You have to go to their studios and figure out where the fit is. So I personally like that. So for me, it's just very exciting. And so many people are playing games more than in the past. It's just...
I went to the press conference yesterday, and they were saying how it's becoming cooler now, and the demographic between 18 and 30 has shot through the roof.
Yes, it really has. And I can remember when it was that really nerdy kind of strange thing to do when I was younger, but I was still doing it. But no, I think that's right. It's become a cool thing people can do with their friends, and the game cafes that have sprouted up all over the world, and just groups, and and Germany really was the center for this for ages. The German market would do their family game nights on Sunday nights, and the TV was not a factor on Sunday nights, because everybody's playing games. So I'm not, we're not there yet in the States, but we certainly have a lot of people having game nights and a lot of places doing it, and it's just great for everybody.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for giving up your valuable time. And a friend of mine has a copy of Baseball Highlights, so I'm going to give it a go when I get back.
I would love to hear how you do. Absolutely. Thank you.
All right then, Georgios.
That was quite a mouthful.
Tell us.
Yes, I will.
Some games you played that people might miss from Essen, things that people wouldn't have heard about on the Twitters and Instagrams from all the peoples.
I think one of the games that we sort of stumbled over, and you bastard that you are, picked up a copy before I could, is Mondrian. It's a very, very colorful, kind of dexterity-based dice game. Was a dice-based dexterity game. Either way, it's really good. It's really fun. It might have flown under your radar. And look for a review at some point in the future.
Get on this game. I've played it now with 4 groups, with 4 different types of gamers. I've had the initial reaction from every group I've had was, Ben, really? And at the end, they've gone, wow, it's a bloody good game. It's 20 minutes, it's deep, and you get into it and you get out of it feeling satisfied. It's wonderful. Mondrian is wonderful.
My other surprise, which I just randomly stumbled over, was Creo by Sweet Games. And of course, my mind blanks on the designer, but basically it's the same publishers that do The Grizzled, which I think you have strong feelings over.
It's all right.
And Creo is also fantastic. It's a cooperative card game where you try to sort of play your hands, and the idea is that communication is very, very, very limited. So you basically can't talk about your hand at all. But you have tokens with which you can share very specific information. You can show a card from your hand, you can swap cards, but you don't know which ones, or you can take a card from the discard pile. And these actions themselves are your main ways of communicating with your fellow players and trying to get them to understand what you're trying to do. It looks very, very nice. It's a really, really tight game. It's really, really fun. And again, a review will come up, I'm hoping, this year at some point.
Fabled Fruit.
Yeah.
I bought it sight unseen. I'm glad I did because it's sold out. Because I'm well into the whole legacy thing, right?
Right, yeah.
And this isn't a legacy game, it's a Fable game, which is, it's actually a very simple system, but it's a simple system that works wonderfully well. Fabled Fruit is light, but it develops in complexity, it develops in tactics, and fundamentally, it's fun. And I'm going to play tonight, I'm going to embark on trying to get through the whole thing in the next couple of weeks, and I'm going to write a review for this, and it is really good. And one more game I'm really excited about, which might be the next review we do after Mahalloween, because we're doing a special Mahalloween show.
Mahalloween, yeah. Is that the Hawaiian pronunciation?
That's right. Because we had Tiki Games, you see.
We did, yes.
And they infected me with their hula.
Their hula, yeah.
Indeed.
Quite, yeah.
Is the one game I was really excited beforehand, and we managed to snag a copy, is Crisis.
Right, yeah.
And I'm really excited to see what you think about it as a Greek person, when you have a game that's modelling the Greek financial crisis, and whether that comes through and whether it resonates with you.
I'm quite curious about that as well. And one final note, one game I picked up on a whim, didn't have high expectations for, is Come to Fishing Village. That's really difficult.
Come to Fishing Village.
Yes. It's very straightforward cooperative card game again, and it basically lives on its DAW factor. It's very, very cute. It's very cutesy, it's very simple, and it kind of works. This isn't a game that will wow you. This isn't a game that will become the cornerstone of hundreds of gamer geeks out there, but it's just nice and warm and fuzzy and cozy, and it's not too easy, and I kind of love it.
Just to sum up, there seemed to be a feeling of meh around this year's Essen because of last year's Essen.
Right.
And I've played a lot of the games I picked up at this year's Essen. Not one of them has been rubbish.
Yeah.
And the further I get away from this year's Essen, the more excited I am by it.
Yes, it's like I tweeted. It's going to be a very, very long year until we can get back there, but I am already looking forward to it. And I'm going to remember this feeling of coming to Essen with some trepidation about, are there going to be great games? And I can assure you now, even though I keep trying to remind myself after each year, every year is fantastic. Every year is surprise. Every year is exciting. Every year is about making you want to play more, to meet new people, and just to dive into this hobby with new zest, with new energy, and just, lose yourself in this joy of play.
It's ironic that the fatigue energizes you
it
going
does.
forward.
Yes, it does.
Say goodnight, Georgios.
No, not again.
So I'm here with some normal people, the scum. I just wondered why they listen to the Perfect Information podcast. Say your name.
Hello, I'm Marios Richards. I haven't listened to your podcast yet.
And we go on to this young man here who's grinning at me.
I'm Ayush, and I have listened to the podcast. Initially, I was pressured into listening to it, but after I did listen to one episode, I found out that the voice of the host actually aroused me, and now it's the only thing that can keep me up.
So we have a likely-looking German here. What would you say about the show?
It's in English. I don't understand a word.
Finally, we have board game celebrity and review copy hooverer-upperer, Barry Dublé. Barry, why do you listen to the Perfect Information podcast?
Because I've got to collect royalties on my name every time you mention me, and also I like to listen to how many times Georgios eats prawns.
And I think we'll all agree. We'll all agree that the Perfect Information podcast is not only the greatest podcast that's ever existed, but it's also the sexiest one.